All right, and here we go. This is Johnny, sobriety date is September 25th, 2011, and I got my new second interview. I did a few other
Yeah,
interviews which I stopped, and now I want to keep going
yeah, that'll be
and
good.
not wait for perfection for me to continue. We originally had another park, but God brought us over here at Pin Park.
Yes,
So and it's beautiful out here. Look at this. It's a nice
yeah.
place. But so I'm here with.
My name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is April 22nd, 2024, and I'm grateful to be here.
Right on, right on. Did you watch last night's game?
I did. It was, oh my goodness. It was a nail biter in the beginning, but,
And
you
for you
know,
guys that don't know, we're talking about the Dodgers and Phillies
yeah, playoff,
playoffs. Game
yeah,
one.
game one, and we
Otani's
took it.
first one
Yeah,
pitching.
pitching and hitting.
Uh,
So that's history in the making, and that's what it's all about.
uh,
But yeah, I was able to go to pizza location, watch a little bit of the game with some fellows, and it was great. It was great. It was a good game. I enjoyed myself, and
so how much? What do you have over a year, right?
I have a little over a year, going on 18 months
Okay.
this month. So yeah, but it's been a great journey, you know, um, from in the beginning it's kind of shaky. We tend to not to be skeptical about the program a little bit, and then that skepticism just you know drives into willingness, and that's how I've been writing it out.
Is this your first time getting sober? Or have you tried sobriety before?
I haven't tried sobriety before like this, you
On your
know.
own way? Like you tried your own way?
Right, that the whole
From
chapter,
scotch to what is it?
Scotch to brand,
Yeah, yeah,
all those methods, tried them,
yeah.
and I'll go into it when I was young. I didn't go from Scotch to brandy. I started with brandy. Being Mexican, we went to baptize my cousin over in Mexico, and
What a great place to start.
yeah, and then that's when like I they were drinking Presidente and Coke, and
How old
man,
were you?
I was probably like about 14 at the
Okay,
time.
okay.
I was 14, and then that's when I just, oh man, I got drunk, and back then I thought it was just being silly, but now I look at it and now it was being foolish. I could have hurt myself. I rode a horse and the horse almost bucked me off. I was wrangling like little calves and stuff, and they were dragging me and things like that. It's like I didn't let go of the rope, and boom, there I go. And then at the night, everything just started spinning. When you like laid down and you're like, oh shit, everything's spinning. And from there, I was just kind of like, man, like this is crazy. I got up, I went to the bathroom, and I started throwing up, and that's when my mom came out, and she's like, hey, she's like, what'd you eat, mijo? Oh my goodness. She thought I ate something bad, because when you go to Mexico, you kind of eat something that doesn't sit well with your stomach. But I told her, I'm like, oh no, my uncles, they gave me some drink. I don't know, it's called Presidente, and I thought it was good, and I after like 4 or 5 of those, and I'm a 14-year-old skinny ass kid. And then from there, I was just like, man, I didn't know I was an alcoholic. That was all just like one of those parts where it's like, oh, you know what, they're doing it, I'm gonna do it. And they're saying, oh, I'm the Godfather. I should get like happy, and it was happy until it wasn't at that time.
Now, where did you grow up at? What was your childhood like? Because there's a pattern in the rooms. I don't know if you've noticed, but it definitely is a pattern. And for me, when I work with other people, I was telling them that everything started from childhood. Everything like for me personally, my whole thing, the ism, the internal spirituality that I didn't belong,
Hmm.
all that stuff. It all started from childhood.
Right.
How did you grow up, and where did you grow up?
I grew up in Whittier.
Okay,
I grew up in Whittier. I was born in Bellflower, but my parents, they bought a house in
that was a
in
problem. You're
Whittier.
born in Bellflower.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm
and,
just playing.
and and the crazy thing is that growing up, I mean, shit, man, my parents had both my parents, and
Did you grow up in an alcoholic family?
my dad was an alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom, not so much. She was spiritual. She would go to church. She would take us to church, and things like that growing up. And one of the things that I remember, but I didn't make a big deal out of it until now. I'm seeing those things that are like glaring.
Mm-hmm.
Like the behaviors of my father, the things that he used to do. Those were the things that I'm like, oh man, you know what? Like, dude, I didn't have such a great childhood. It was not like
It's
it
not
was
what you
not
remembered.
yeah, and it was not chaos. It was more, now I see it more as a dysfunctional kind of like atmosphere, where, let's say, growing up, I used to play baseball. I picked up the saxophone when I was in fourth grade.
Here
I
in Whittier, right?
Yeah, here in
Okay.
Whittier. I picked up, I started drawing. My friends used to draw, like one of my friends was a good artist, and he was like my age, like back in like elementary school. And then me and him used to have like drawing contests and stuff, and just on our own, seeing what would come up like out of our own art and stuff. And those were the things that I grew up with. And then not even knowing that, like, when I would go to practice, my dad would drop me off, and then he would take off. And where was he when he was taking off? When he'd come back, yeah, you could smell beers, you could smell, you know the tequila or whatever.
Did he
um
seem like violent, or did he seem more happy, or
he was just straight calm, like just no up, no down, just quiet. And those were the things that I noticed, when he would drop me off at saxophone classes. When I was in high school, he would drop me off and then take off, and then he'd come back like an hour later. And um, that's what I grew up with. The other stuff was like, oh yeah, kids being kids, acting out, trying to get attention and stuff like that. Those were the things that I'm like, I would go through. And like, my dad would come home, my mom would give him the report. I would either get physically or emotionally abused, like where
verbally?
verbally, yeah, verbally abused. And those are things that I just thought were normal. That general conditioning of like what happened when I was little, it just carried on me,
It was
throughout my life.
normalized.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
normalized. When I was younger, when I was 9, going.
So I don't, not to interrupt, but
Yeah,
this is all before you had that drink.
this was all before I had that
Okay.
drink. And then, like after I had that drink over at, what's it called, at the in Mexico. After that, it was just kind of like, all right, like here and there, I would like sneak a beer, or like people would leave their drinks like at the table. Mom and dad would be dancing, and then here I go, like
Yeah.
sipping that.
Sneak a toke.
Yeah, yeah, a little sneak a drink. And then from there, it's just kind of like all the stuff that I would like, my behaviors were just to fit in, or just to feel that sense of comfort within myself, like being comfortable enough to, oh yeah, you know what, I'm gonna take a couple drinks, and then I'm gonna go and ask a girl to dance that was at the party, at the quinceañeras or whatever. um
So that, and so right now what you said, that's like one of them. Two, one was we get this false courage
right.
of doing what we can, especially what is about women, right? We get this courage that we can talk to them.
Yeah,
Before that, it was kind of like, for me, it was like, ooh, I can't talk to them. The second one, or the other one, is to fit in.
fit in,
You know,
yeah.
like all our lives, we just wanted to fit in, and I know for me, I try to do whatever it took to fit in.
Yeah, and fitting in, that's one of the main things, being accepted, being in within the crowd of like the cool kids or whatever. I mean, dude, growing up, I had a lowrider bike. My cousins would lowride and do those things. And then later on, I got my own lowrider later on in life.
Would you get?
I had an El Camino, a 1983 El Camino. and
Okay.
it had a pearl paint job. It had wire wheels. It had a sound system in
Were you
it.
in a car club?
No, I was not in a car club.
It's dude. This is one of that I'm enjoying doing this because I don't know you. We just literally started like chatting this year.
Yeah,
Um, so I know nothing about you. You
yeah,
really, just from the rooms.
yeah.
And I had interviewed Billy too. And it doesn't matter. We all come from the fucking same place. You were talking about a lowrider
It's a
car.
culture. Yeah,
Yeah, a culture, cultura.
yeah.
And I grew up like that too because of my uncle. He had a Monte Carlo,
Oh yeah.
bumping. I can smell the air
Oh
fragrance, the
yeah.
freshener.
Yeah.
Remember they used to come in that little bottle?
Yeah, or the
Like,
trees.
yeah,
Yeah, but I remember the bottles, the little bottles, and they used to like splash it
yeah,
around and
yeah.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
so then I wanted to do that, and I remember getting my car. I had a Honda Accord. Wasn't technically a classic roll rider, but I ended up joining a car club. I was probably 20 years, 19, 20, right after high school. And we joined a car club. We ended up in lowrider. Do you remember a Street Beat?
Yeah, Street Beat magazine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we ended up in that too. And we would go to Pomona for the lowrider car show, the Coliseum for the lowrider car show.
Right.
It was just like a part.
Oh yeah.
And I
Yeah.
felt like I belonged, like I've
Yeah.
arrived.
Like I said, that whole belonging thing, I and then in junior high, I used to box too.
Okay.
So I got into boxing and stuff, and I trained from probably like around my seventh grade all the way to like my junior year, and that was part of me like, oh, dude, I'm belonging to something other than just school or whatever,
Oh,
and
what did you play? The saxophone?
I played the sax too. I
Okay.
played the saxophone from fourth grade all the way to like my junior year of high school, and in it, and because I didn't want to be categorized as a nerd in high school, playing in the marching band and
Yeah.
shit, I just took private lessons, private jazz lessons, and those were the lessons that my dad used to take me to drop me off, and then he'd go off drinking. And one of the reasons why I stopped, fucking crazy, was because he picked me up once and he was like faded, and he uh he took a wide turn and he crashed into like one of those dumpster like things, that was back in the alley. Crashed into it, and I was like, dude, like I'm like, oh, you know what? And then I told him I didn't want to do it anymore because I didn't like it,
Hmm.
but I loved playing my saxophone. And see, that's the crazy thing, is that like we see it in others, the damage that it could do. Because to me, I was like, oh, dude, I don't want him to go out drinking while I'm fucking getting my lessons and stuff like that. I could get hurt, he could get hurt, and so I stopped. I told him, I'm like, I don't like doing it. I don't like doing it at all. But what I really didn't tell him was the truth of like, dude, I don't like you drinking while I'm like doing these, lessons or getting dropped off.
It's funny you say that because somewhere in the book it talks about fear should be bracketed as stealing because it robbed us of a good childhood. It robbed
Yeah,
us of
progressing something. Yeah,
something good,
right.
and it really does.
Yeah,
Fear of speaking up, fear of doing something you want to do. I know for me, the big a big fear is that whole. It's not so much what you think about me; it's more about what I think you think about me.
right.
That is a killer for me.
Yeah, that self-imposed like judgment of like
Yes.
what other people think of us. It's like, man, like what is it that, you know like, and that's just all our insecurities, like our insecurities of what it is that we feel we are or we feel we don't are, and then it just becomes a mess in our heads. We fuck ourselves.
Yeah, and that's part of the stuff. I mean, you know what? Honestly, I thought this morning's meeting was really good. It was very emotional.
Hmm.
Not too much drunkalog. It was more about how they're living life without the alcohol.
Hmm.
Um, but that whole what you were saying something that's like the insecurity. We ain't gonna tell nobody how insecure we're. We're gonna carry that with in my backpack on my shoulders
Hmm.
forever.
But it still glares though.
Oh yeah,
It's still shown, like,
but we
whenever
try our
whenever
hardest
we
to
we
hold
act
it.
out, or we react, or we are in, that whole fight and flight, fight, flight, or freeze, you know that's where our insecurities like stem from. Like
Well, I know
it's
that
just
now.
yeah.
I did not
Oh
know
no,
that when I
yeah,
was
yeah,
going through it.
exactly.
It was
Yeah,
just something that and that's why today it's like, no, we don't have to carry none of that stuff no more. You just let it go and let God.
right, right.
Just talk to someone and then move forward.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a trip how we
The
will
false
hold
sense
that
of reality, the false sense of reality
and
and
pride.
all this shit. Like I kid you not, like up until the point when I started like doing like the steps and all that stuff, it was just kind of like all fucking an illusion, all a facade, all just yeah. The false sense of reality was really like getting to me. Like I was just like, damn, dude, how many fucking people did I lie to? How many people? And the one that I lied to the most was myself. And that was the crazy thing.
Yeah. So one of the things that got me closer to you to get to know you more is when we started talking about music.
Oh yeah,
I know, and
yeah,
movies and shows and shit.
yeah,
And but one of the things is that you were a DJ.
yeah.
How did you
I mean,
get into that?
I'm more of a collector, but I have my turntables, I have my mixer and stuff, and it's more of a sense of music. And kind of like how when growing up, the saxophone was my escape of things. I grew up like listening to like music, like CDs were the thing, but now they're extinct. CDs and just music like tapes and stuff. But I got into like collecting when I started hanging out with like other DJs,
Okay.
and that's when I was like, oh shoot, you know what? Digging in them crates, I would go and dig in those crates, and that was my therapy for a long time. Even though I was still in my disease, I would like drink before I'd go and like smoke herb, and that was one of those things that I was like, all right, this is my therapy. Music is my therapy. Um, but that's how I got into it. And then I just started going into different genres, and I enjoyed I enjoyed music. Music takes me somewhere else, man.
Yeah.
And now it's taken me, now that I don't drink and stuff, it's like, damn, dude, like I'm glad I have that collection and that I built up that collection
How many
in order for
records
me.
did you say you had?
I have over 5,000 records.
That's a lot.
I mean, it is a lot. It's a mess. It's a mess. But it's a good mess.
Yeah.
It's a good way of understanding like all the things that I like. I love music, and it's crazy because it's hard for me to also let go of some of the records. Like if I feel like if I want to sell like a certain genre or a certain like full length
Vinyl.
albums or something, then I'm like, dude, if I sell it or if I let it go, that's a part of me,
Yeah.
and I just can't. So, yeah, but
Well, like
music,
they say, when you're ready, you will.
yeah, I mean,
Until then, you keep
yeah,
it.
till then, it's there. It's kind of like a library. Like some of those records have dust on them and stuff, but it's also good to like look back and look at those things because music takes me to a certain place. Music has taken me to like if I listen to an album, it'll take me back to in a timeline of where I was listening to that album like a lot, or
Yeah.
and then I'd start like reminiscing and stuff, and I'm like, oh man, those times weren't that bad.
Yeah. I always say, because I work at the barbershop, and for me, when I had my own barbershop, music was always playing. It
Yeah.
was just, even if it was the same genre over and over, to me, music soothes the soul for me.
Oh yeah.
It's just my soundtrack,
Oh yeah.
and it's a, to me, music is just beautiful to me. It does something inside. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
soothes the soul.
Yeah.
You know what I
It,
mean?
it, it speaks volumes.
Yeah. So we were talking about the Dodger game. How is it? How is it going into the season and not drinking
Oh
and
man.
watching games? Because I know I remember when I first got here. I remember I couldn't drive. Right? Like I mean, I
Oh
could drive, but I was like checking, brake checking, and then pressing on the on the gas and back and forth.
Discomfort,
Yeah,
yeah.
because it was just like I forgot how to drive sober.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I was like,
yeah.
oh, but I mean, it didn't take that long. It just for a minute, it was like,
Discomfort,
whoa,
yeah,
this is
discomfort,
weird. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So how is
I
it
mean,
watching the sports
I
without
enjoy
a
watching
drink
sports.
or anything?
I mean, we're in the fantasy football league, and I'm I remember things now. I remember games. I remember like, oh man, this guy's gonna smash a home run or whatever. But last year when they won the World Series, that was my first World Series sober. I had just gotten out of rehab like that summer, and you know, being able to watch it with my dad was like that was a game winner, for
Okay,
me.
yeah,
And being able to see that they won, in that fashion against the Yankees, it was something that I'm like, man, I'm gonna remember this forever. And some of the games my kids would be at my house and stuff, or at my dad's house, and we would just be like, watching the game and stuff. But my kids are little to understand, but they know who the Dodgers are because dad. And now watching this post game season, it's like, man, it's like elevated that sense of like, man, I'm here, I'm present, I'm gonna watch this game. I'm gonna be able to feel all that enthusiasm and that excitement over it, and
that's a
it's worth a
beautiful
lot
feeling.
more. It's
That's
worth a lot
yeah,
more.
that's
I,
a great feeling.
yeah, because before, man, you go to Dodger games, you drink the tall cans or whatever, and you pre-party out, even before that, and you go to the game, and you're just like, oh, okay, like, and then you get out, and then you drink more when you get out, and then you forget. Kind of like all the concerts that I've gone to. Most of the concerts that I gone to, I was loaded. But now, like, it's like it's a different feeling. It's a different feeling to be present and to be able to watch.
Yeah,
You're watching, you're listening, you're in tune to the game and stuff, like any other things.
I remember when they won that COVID year. Was it 20 or 21?
2020.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we were. I was a secretary at a meeting, and only three of us showed up. It was a Tuesday night meeting, and only three of us showed up, and we did a group conscious because there was only three of us. So we ended up watching that game that night.
Cheaters.
it,
Hey, self-centered, but
it was a group
hey, it was a
conscious.
group conscience. I mean, that's another tradition. What is it, like tradition 9 or something, or 10? No, tradition 9, where it says, like, there's no there's really no organization or something like
Yeah.
that. Everybody could run the show the way
Yeah.
that they do.
Well, like I said, we did the group conscious, and
Yeah.
there was three dudes,
Yeah.
including myself, and we watched it. And they were newcomers at the time. They
Okay.
were just like less than a year. So I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool,
the group
man. That's a
conscious.
blessing, man. That's a blessing that you were able to that they were able to,
Yeah,
know that we're not a glum lot. You
yeah,
know,
that
we're
yeah,
not, can't take shit too serious. But yeah, man. Yeah, those are the things that I enjoy, is just being able to be present. You know.
yeah. That's good. So when in your career, drinking career, like it's true. I know it's true for me. It was awesome, dude. I remember going to clubs,
Hmm.
Fantasia, Peppers, Baby Dolls, uh, backyard parties,
Yeah,
and it was fun. I did run into some problems, of course,
of course.
but
Yeah.
we're young, but but when did you start noticing it was churning on you? Do you remember like where
Oh
it was kind of
man,
getting darker for you in your
there
head?
there was a time where you know um I did get a DUI in 2003, and I would go into the hall. That was where I got my signature cards
Okay.
and shit. And I went to every single, to get my signature card. I went to every meeting, but I would go in there and I would draw caricatures of people. I would draw
I
caricatures
wasn't
of
here,
people.
so
Yeah, and no,
I
and
wasn't here
and I
yet.
would just draw caricatures of people. Like the whole, like, people on the table, people on the side. I just draw them, and I'd sit in the back. Kind of like where we were sitting today. And I would sit in the back, and I would just fucking observe all these people, and I'd be like, "Fuck, dude." And then afterwards, I'd go, like, my friend would pick me up, and then we would go to after hour parties. And at those after hour parties, I didn't drink throughout the whole time that I was in that program, in that AA program, or going to like the DUI classes and all that. I didn't drink for that like 3 to 6 months or whatever until everything was complete. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna reward myself,
Of course.
still having that reservation.
Now, did you think you had a drinking problem at the time, or are you just doing it because you got the DUI?
I was just doing it because I got the DUI.
So you
I
had no
didn't
idea
think
you had a
I
problem.
didn't know I had a problem. Still fitting in, still trying to get accepted,
You're
still,
young,
and
can't have a
and
problem.
then fuck, like I was smoking weed. I started getting into nose beers, and
Nose beer,
yeah, I started doing nose
booger
beers.
sugar.
Yeah, the booger sugar, and then I would say like in 2008, dude, I was off the rails. In 2008 was when I like started doing a lot more blow and doing a lot more extracurricular drugs, and even my friends, they would call the dealers and tell them like, "Hey, dude, if Gerry calls you, don't sell, don't give him any."
Uh huh.
And that's how I stopped doing, that stuff, the powdered alcohol, and but the drinking was still there. Um, I met my wife, in 2013, I believe it was, or 2013 to 2014, and then from there, it was like okay, and I met her at a brewery, like at a restaurant in Uptown, and I would just go in there and drink and stuff, and liquid courage, and then I just hit her up, and then we started dating, and there was so much from the past that I hadn't cleared up, and I carried all that into our
Oh, of
relationship,
course.
you know, and then not even knowing, I thought I was, oh, I'm ready for marriage, I'm ready for this, so we got married, we had two beautiful kids,
And
and
this was 2013,
this was
or
like
when
around,
you met her, it was
yeah,
2013.
and then we got married like 2 years later, which was like 2016 was when we got married. So
So I
yeah,
had
man,
5 years at that time. Timelines are a trip to me.
it's crazy,
You're
huh?
living your
I was
life.
still fucking out there, and
Yeah,
then
I got
now
the
we're
5 years.
like in the same, in the same fellowship, and
Yeah,
getting well, learning,
yeah.
and so yeah, so then we got married, we have two beautiful children.
And how did that go? Like, was it chaos from the get go, or
It wasn't chaos from the get go. It was all like, fucking unicorns and rainbows,
there you
like it
go,
was
the
all
honeymoon,
it was
honeymoon?
beautiful, yeah, it was cool, um however, I didn't know that there was chaos, you know
Oh, you didn't know.
I didn't
She did.
know. Yeah, and she would bring up certain things, and I'd be like,
Oh, you're
all right,
crazy.
let's go have dinner. Let's go, have dinner and some drinks, and then we'd forget about it. I forgot about it. I forgot about circling back at whatever the problem was. There was no change. You know, the drinking was still there. I drank, and then I was clouded in my false sense of reality. I thought, fuck, dude, all right, we went to dinner, we went to the movies, we went here, we went to concerts, we went here and there, and things were forgotten, but they weren't forgotten.
No, and
You know,
that's one of the biggest lies that when I first got here, I realized is that we're not hurting anyone but ourselves. Man, we hurt every
no,
motherfucker out there.
no,
We
yeah,
hurt, and the crazy part is when they told us how we were acting, or at least for me, and when they said the way I was, no way.
right.
What are you crazy?
I'm like,
You're just
what?
hating.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no way I act like that.
There was things she would point out to me, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's just them, that's just my friends, they're, and I would like, to me, it was like, oh, let's brush it under the carpet. It's not me that did that; it's them. But then again, I was there. I had to validate. I had to like do all those things, and I was not good at validating feelings. I was not, because my feelings were never validated as a child. And throughout that whole process of like us being married and stuff, you know, there's just a time when I like, within like the last couple years in 2023 was when I'm like, oh fuck, dude, I want to stop. I want to like get, I want to get sober. I want to fix myself, because at that time I was doing blow. I got back into blow. I got back into drinking a lot and heavy and heavy and heavy drinking, and I was just like, man, fuck, dude, like what's wrong? And I wanted to stop, and I started, I had read the book The Alchemist. I looked up, spiritual alchemy and all that stuff, and I was starting to like discard a lot of like things that I wrote down a list of all my character defects, my fears, all those things back then, and it wasn't part of the program. But the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the alchemy, it's analogous. They're both like one and the same to a certain point. And from there I've just been like kind of like looking at it that way, and I see like most of us that want to change and that want to do this stuff, it's like, damn, we're all like alchemists. We want to turn our lead, or like our impurities into like gold, and that's something that I strive for.
So okay, so you had some kind of mm, spiritual teachings
Oh yeah.
before you got to the AA. And I noticed a lot of people have that
Yeah.
experience before they got here, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I had no experience. I know I wanted to be, I know I didn't belong. I knew there was something for me out there and I was looking for it. Rather, I thought it was a big brother. Validation.
Hmm.
I was looking for validation everywhere.
Yeah.
And it got me in places I shouldn't be.
Right.
But the thing is, when I got here, because I got 2 DUIs. My first one, it was easy. It
Right.
was behind a liquor store. So either I would go in there, pound one, and for sure at the end, pound another one. No big deal. I wasn't ready. Second one, um, I only went to one meeting and then I forged everything, but I went to the mandatory one. So I had no concept of what this is, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
I just thought I need to stop drinking and I'm going to feel better.
Right.
So I had no education on any spirit or any religious.
Right.
Now that what you're talking about, what it was called, alchemist.
Alchemy.
What it? Can you explain what that is?
Yeah.
I have
Spiritual.
no idea what that is.
Dude,
To be honest
yeah.
with you.
Spiritual alchemy is like, it's a process, of personal and spiritual transformation. um it it basically, you strive for inner liberation, growth, and spiritual awakening. And it's basically, purifying one's inner self by releasing negative patterns of limited beliefs, to achieve self-realization, inner peace, and profound connection with the divine.
Okay, so when you were reading that, why didn't it work for you at that moment?
I was still using and still drinking.
So it works. It might have worked if you weren't,
It might have worked if I didn't,
but it didn't.
but
Yeah.
it didn't. I just said like, oh, I'm just gonna show my wife that I'm doing this, but to her it was hocus pocus. To anybody that talks about that, it's like, oh, dude, that's just hocus pocus, bro. Like, it's not the real, like, nitty gritty, like, with the whole like sense of like understanding God or a higher power, the divine presence, or being connected to that. I mean, man, like growing up, like I used to go to church just to not be at home with dealing with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go to church when I was younger. I used to do youth group and all that stuff. But the crazy shit is, dude, we used to go to the back where the priest used to have his robes, the cloaks, and then after like they had the little like wafers and they had the wine back there. Dude, me and my friends used to steal the bottles of wine and fucking drink. You know,
That's funny,
that
huh?
was it, dude. And the crazy thing is, like, it's like, yeah, man. After that, like, fuck.
Little skinny Gerry
But yeah, little
drinking
skin,
wine
drinking.
at church.
Yeah, yeah. Eating the Lord's chips and and wine.
¿Estabas tomando? No.
No, because that was like, dude, it's like, oh no, I went to church.
I went to
You know?
church. Ah, qué bueno.
I went to church.
We have such a good boy here.
Yeah, but the thing was that, like, yeah, man, like, like God was always there, and I've felt that presence of a divine presence, of the concept of God, the God's love, and all that stuff. But then again, like shit happens in life, where you like start running away. You start running away. You start ignoring that presence that's always there.
Hmm.
And now I see like, dude, instead of running away, I'm running towards him. I'm wanting to like understand him a little more. I'm inviting him into my life. I'm letting him take the wheel, in other words.
So when so you're reading this because you're being the actor, right?
Yeah,
You want
I,
everybody out there to
to
see
see
what.
that there's going to be change.
Yeah, so you're running game on your wife,
Yeah.
and what happened with the whole
Well, after that, dude, I'm like, dude, like,
what's the straw that killed the camel's back?
well, when I was doing all that stuff and like I was into trying to get spiritual with all this shit still in my life, with all the alcohol and all the drugs still in my life. Um,
And you had your kids
and
too
yeah,
already?
I had my
Okay.
kids already. This was like in 2023, and
This is where you're rock bottom, probably.
yeah,
Would
like
you say?
2023. This
Um,
is this is where it led me to. Like
Okay.
in 2024, that's when I was like, fuck this, like because my wife would like put me down because I'd be journaling and stuff like that, and she
Drunk,
uh,
or were you sobering up,
I was
or you stopped?
trying to sober up, but then afterwards I'd go like maybe 1 2 weeks without anything, and then I'd start again. I'd be like,
Okay.
"Fuck this," like she's giving me shit still, blah blah blah, and to find out her truths too, because she found out my truths, and then she told me about her truths. That's what like got me spiraling. And so I started spiraling into like this abyss that I thought I was never going to get out of. And then it was just like an ultimatum that she said. She's all like, "Hey, you either get sober or like or go into treatment you know or else I'm going to leave, or else you're going to lose the children, or I'm going to lose a lot."
Hmm.
And I at that point I'm like, "Oh no, all right, you know what? I'm going to do it for the kids. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it." So I went into rehab. But in rehab, I found out that I needed to do it for myself.
And this is 2000.
24.
Okay.
Yeah, April of 2024, I went into rehab, or like, a week after. But I went into rehab, and then from there, I uh, I gained a lot of like, you know, a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge. I gained knowledge, and that knowledge brought me down to my knees. When I was in there, I
You
was
literally hit your knees.
I literally hit my knees when I was in there because I was like, what the fuck am I doing in here? You know? And I didn't know about the steps or anything. They would go into like we would go to AA meetings and stuff like that in rehab. We would go through like different meditations, different things like that. And for me it was like, I don't think I need this, like I'm like,
Nice.
I don't think I need this shit,
You
dude.
hit your.
Like, you know, but I did I looked at everything that we were doing. We would go to parks, we would go to bowling, we would go to all these different events, like where they were fun stuff, like and then that's when I thought like, fuck, dude, I could have been doing this shit with my family. I could have been going to the park with my family instead of all these fucking druggies and drunks and whatever.
That's what like a god shot right there.
That was my god shot. That was my first step when I felt like, fuck, dude, I'm powerless over alcohol, that I can't even take my kids to the park. I'm powerless over alcohol, that I can't take them bowling, or I can't go out on dates with my wife. I
And
can't,
your life has become unmanageable.
and everything became unmanageable. And now I'm being managed right here in rehab. I'm getting my hand held for 45 days in rehab,
Yeah.
and then I get out after 45 days. And that when I got out, my wife's like, "You ain't coming back here. You got to find somewhere to stay." She wanted me to go into sober living. I didn't want to go to sober living. My therapist in there said, "You don't need sober living. You could just go back home and or go and see what's up out there." And
Now, so you went to where did you go? Rehab?
yeah, I went to rehab. I
So
went
what's the difference between the rehab and sober living?
Sober living is just a house. where you go, you could still get out and work, and then you come back and you just live there sober, you pay rent and stuff like that. Rehab is just all guided, like, you get your hand held, you go to, to different sessions, like they're kind of therapeutic sessions and things like that, where they teach you how to, they teach you about codependency, they teach you about, your disease. You read inserts from, like, daily reflections and stuff, and then everybody talks about things like that. And then, it's more like a care facility, like where people are actually taking care of you, like.
Yeah, I always hear people talk about rehab
And sober
and
living it.
sober living,
Yeah.
and I didn't go to any of those, and in my head, of course, my head says, man, I missed out. I should have I should have went there, but it is, it happened the way it happened. But I do remember in my first year, my first months, that my daughter would come in my room, and my room would be pitch dark, and she would come in and say, are you just gonna lay in bed all day, or are we gonna go do something? And I just remember thinking,
Oh
like, I
yeah,
couldn't get up.
those feelings.
I
Yeah.
couldn't get up. I was out. Like,
Yeah.
I just could not face. I just had enough energy to go to work, and when I was at work, it sucked.
Yeah. You're
Not that
miserable.
work sucked. It sucked for me,
You're miserable. Yeah.
miserable. And then I just had enough to go to meetings,
Yeah.
enough, just enough, and then come home and just lay in bed, and that was my recovery. You know what I mean? My recovery homes, or whatever.
Right. Right. That was your own
Yeah,
self.
but I had no idea about recovery.
Right.
Rather, I don't even know. I don't think I had insurance, but it didn't matter. I just
It
didn't
didn't
know.
matter.
I
Yeah.
didn't know nothing
Just
about
kind of
that.
like how I didn't know about AA and the
Uh,
12 steps and all that stuff. And it's just kind of like, you go in there and then, like, fuck, I get out of rehab and my wife doesn't want to be
how
like,
long were you in there for?
for 45 days.
45 days.
Yeah, in rehab, 45 days. And then I
A
get
lot
out.
happens in 45 days. Huh?
Yeah, but then again, she already made up her mind like months ago. It's
Yeah.
like one of those things that, like, you're like, oh, it took her 40. Like me, I'm like, oh, it took you 45 days to tell me that you don't want to be back with me, but it didn't, dude. It took a accumulation of years
Yeah,
that
a
that
lot
that
of
happened.
it was already happening,
Yeah,
and she
and
gave you enough chances.
yeah, I'm like, dude, like, when I got out, I'm like, oh shit, the ninth step. I gotta,
Make
go
amends.
make amends, but I didn't know that I knew that there was some before that, but I didn't know that they were in order. I thought I was gonna take them a la carte, and just fucking do whatever I wanted,
And she was gonna be okay with
and she
it,
was
and
gonna be okay with it. I looked at all those steps, man, and didn't even look at the ones that said God in them, and the ones that stood out were the ones that didn't say God in them. And I was like, oh no, nah, but in order to do them right, man, you gotta get God, you gotta get good with God, you gotta get
yeah,
right. And that was one of the things that I'm like, oh man, it, it's it's crazy. It's crazy that you know me fooling myself, my false sense of reality, saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna say I'm sorry and I'm not gonna do it again," and blah blah blah.
that's a
But
delusional, the
yeah,
insanity.
that's just yeah, the insanity. It's like, and I thought that that was gonna fix it, but it's not. Once sorries don't mean shit anymore. It's all about action. And now I'm in action in my program. And I didn't know what self-love, self-care, self-worth, self-respect, any of that stuff was, until I got into the program, got into work. And then that was
So, so after the 45 days, you come out thinking it was gonna be great. You got your wife back in
yeah,
your head, right?
yeah.
And then she says, "Charlie."
She says, "Chale, vato." And then that's when I'm like, oh, all right, well, fuck, dude, I ain't got nothing else to do. I'm gonna go to Serenity Hall and see where
Was
this
that a
takes me.
blow?
It was. That was a bottom too, another little bottom. Even though I'm like 45 days sober, but this isn't sober. My mind isn't sober. My mind is still thinking like a fucking alcoholic. You know?
Our Eagles is so big, dude.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
so.
It's
I
it's
mean, it's
crazy.
huge.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
big. It's us.
And yeah, like how they say, the ego edging God out
Uh,
or entering God's oneness. It's like that's where we need to, like, decipher, what it is that we're actually doing.
yeah, it's either God is or He's not. What is your choice?
Yeah, yeah,
So then you get out. She tells you to kick rocks.
yeah.
Um, You
And
go into a head spin and you
I
come to hall and
yeah, I went into a little head spin, all emotional and shit. You should have heard my shares when I started, man. They were fucking bullshit. All self pity.
but they're real, right?
They are, but then again, it's like, man, now I see things like that. Like I see myself
In
now, and I'm
hindsight.
like, it's a little bit more. It's different. It's about me. It's about what I did, not about what other people did to me.
Oh yes, yes.
And that's one of the things that when I would go up there, I'd be like, oh, woe is me. My wife left me. Blah blah
So
blah.
did she leave?
Yeah, man, we're getting a divorce. We're like separated. We're.
And how's the relationship right now with her?
Um,
As
she's
far as
hurt.
can you get along?
She's hurt.
Okay.
You know, we try to just make it about the kids and stuff, and um, it's pretty crazy because now I don't react. You know, and I think she's looking for that reaction. But when I just say okay, you know, kind of gets her a little mad too. Like it gets
Mm-hmm.
her upset because I'm not like so emotionally invested in whatever it is that she has
Like
to
it
say.
almost seems like you don't care.
It almost seems like I don't care, but I'm actually listening.
Yeah.
you know. And thank God for these rooms. Before it was the three P's, puro pinche party, and now it's like it's
Puro
pause,
pinchy
pray, and
party.
proceed.
That was
Yeah,
my
yeah,
puro
yeah,
pinchy party. Because that's
yeah,
all it was
yeah.
for me. Like I remember making that decision. I'm like, I'm gonna party for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm gonna be at clubs
Oh, I'm
forever.
gonna like yeah, and
And then one day I show up at the club and I'm the old man there.
yeah,
And it's like, what am I doing here? So I go
yeah.
to the bar. That's where I belong.
Right,
But
right.
so when you get here, what stood out to you when you like within your first 30 days coming to the rooms? Like,
Coming
did
into the
something
rooms
stand out to you that, or when did anything stand out to you? We said, I'm in the right place, or
when the
something
main
someone
thing that
said,
that
or
that 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 stood out to me was someone did say something. I don't remember who, but they said, "We'll love you until you love yourself." And I was just like, "Okay." I'm like, "This is where I belong." I'm like, "We'll love you until you love yourself," because, like I said, I didn't know self love. I didn't know self care, self anything. All I was selfish. All I was self centered. You know, and from there, it's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stick here. These people are going to love me. And I felt it too. It wasn't something that was just said, it was something that was also felt. I actually felt the love. I felt that divine presence in there in those rooms. Um, and I was open minded. And they say open mindedness is like being teachable. And that was one of the things. And I needed to learn. I needed to learn who I really was. I needed to learn who it was I that I was in the past, and then going on to what it is now. And still learning.
mm-hmm.
As this is recovery is a journey without a destination. You know, and that's the harsh reality of it, is that there's not going to be a day that when you graduate, when you pass, when you're like, okay, you could do it yourself.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, one of the reality is too is that we're gonna feel the pain,
Oh yeah,
change,
and
being
that's
uncomfortable. We're if this, I mean, it's taking me this long, but it's if we rest on our laurels, meaning if we're comfortable, we're not growing. I'm really not growing. I'm just happy or content in my head to be where it's at, and that's a dangerous play, a dangerous spot to be in. Is when you felt content for a long time,
right,
uncomfortable. Like I literally have to do uncomfortable things, which is contrary to what I grew up with, in order for me to grow.
right, right.
Which is taking me a while. I just was cruising for a long time,
Yeah, being
and
complacent is not
yes,
is not
and I don't use that word complacent because I don't know about that word, but it's not like I wake up and well, I'm going to be complacent today.
yeah,
I just wake up like, well, I'm blessed, and one of the things that when I got here, they would always say is welcome home. They kept saying welcome home, welcome home. I'm not thinking
like this
this ain't
ain't
fucking
fucking
home.
home.
What are you
Yeah,
talking about? Welcome home. What like?
Yeah.
I remember eating at Jack's from a men's steak. I did the men's steak Wednesday nights for like 10 years before I got in 2011, and we stopped because of COVID. But I was doing that steak for that many years, and welcome home. And I'm thinking, like, what are you talking about, welcome in the beginning, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not your family.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like welcome home.
Yeah.
And then there comes that day where now I'm saying that to you and to other people, dude, you're home.
Yeah.
This is where you belong,
Yeah.
whether you believe it or not. This is where you belong. And now I'm like, man, isn't that like a blessing in the just alone to
Yeah.
have a place where we can go?
Belong. Yeah. And I like that, one of the people that shared today, it's like, you're enough, you know?
Yes.
And I was just like, whoa, dude, I got like goose pimples, I was like, oh man, you know what? Like, and then he's all like, and until you know what that means, you know, you're gonna feel a certain way or whatever. But it is true, like that whole acceptance of self acceptance. That's the only person that I need to feel accepted by, like
And
now,
not seek validation.
and not seek validation, because it's not there.
Mm-mm.
It's not anybody outside of you's to validate that expectation, all those expectations. Like, my wife, I expected her to love me. I expected her to make me happy. I expected her to do all these great things that, like, what, I didn't have inside of me. And I needed that inside of me. And now I'm like, oh man, you know what? I do love the person that I'm becoming. I do love that I'm changing. I do love that I'm like, and it's so painful, it's so painful to change,
Oh, very.
you know, and that's one of the things, like, it's those growing pains, those spiritual growing pains are what's basically going to liberate us, to understand that shit. You know what, we do belong here.
And that's one
We
of
I do belong, here.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know
and that's one of the things too is what you were saying. He was saying is that we are enough, man. For years, I did not believe that.
yeah.
I'm talking. It's people say slow sobriety, right?
Right.
I am
Or those
definition.
emotional relapses.
Yeah,
And
I am the definition of slow sobriety because for years I've heard people say, you're enough," and I just could not get it. It didn't register.
yeah.
And today I can honestly say, yeah, you know what? We are enough.
Yeah.
This is we're here. As long as I believe, as long as I'm not hurting anyone or uh, I don't have the. There's a thing everyone likes to say is that we don't drink no matter what. That's true, but for me, I don't treat you like an asshole no matter what. Just because I'm going through my things doesn't give me the right to treat you like crap.
Right. We
And
check
you
ourselves.
know what I mean? And for me, that's very important to go by. And I fall short all the time
Oh yeah.
because the whole thing of change and discomfort in my head, all the homies in my head is like, oh, you're a chavala, you're getting punked, homie.
Hmm.
Gerry's punking you. How's he punking me? But my head will make it into a
Yeah.
session. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
know,
And
screw that punk,
and
eh?
and, and that's the thing with, like, the whole thinking, like you said earlier, like, we're gonna feel the pain, we're gonna, and they say that pain is necessary, suffering is optional, right? And the pain is basically the thoughts of what it is that come into your mind, and the suffering is the thinking, the additional thinking that make that thought bigger and bigger and bigger, feeds that thought. And now that you have, like, the tools, we have the tools to process those pains, those thoughts,
Yeah.
and understand that they're not true.
So you get here, and they're gonna love you. What
Yeah.
was it?
uh, they're gonna, yeah, the groups that said, we're gonna love you until you love yourself.
Yes, yes. And
And
so what did you hear or read in the book? When did you start like?
oh man, I didn't read the book at all. Like, I would go to, like, participation meetings, and listen to all these people and be like, oh fuck, you know what? Have some empathy, like, and even put myself in their shoes. Because at that point, I'm like, I'm not gonna look at the differences. They told me, look at the
Mhm.
similarities, not the differences. In rehab, they told me, go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Go to, get a sponsor, work the book, and all that stuff. And it wasn't until probably, I would say, like maybe 30 days, 35 days after I got out of rehab was when I went into rehab. And then I met, my sponsor there. And I told him, all right, what the fuck do I need to do this shit? And then after he's all like, oh, you need a big book, you need this. I'm like, oh, well, fuck, all right, cool. And so he goes to the back or whatever, grabs those books, and then he gives them to me. And I was just like, oh fuck, I have to read this shit. And I saw people inside rehab reading the big book, reading the 12 and 12, and highlighting and all this shit. And I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna get into that book.
Yeah.
And look what happens, man. I'm like a believer of whatever it is that's going on in there, because then I started actually reading it. I started going into big book studies and listening, and listening doesn't mean like, oh, whatever it is that I'm thinking that I'm going to say next, because that's not listening. Listening is taking it all in and
Mhm.
absorbing it and meditating on it. And so I linked up with my sponsor. I went through the 12 steps, and the fourth step, I'm not gonna lie, man, the fourth step was the one that I took like fucking 3 4 months on, you know, because I was still getting those emotional relapses, looking at all the pains, looking at all the fears, all the things that I caused to people, and the harms. And you know that was that was a lot of purging and a lot of discomfort within myself. And it felt like it was like a burning within me, like a burn, like, and back to that whole alchemy thing. In alchemy, there's 7 stages, and the first stage is calcination, which is basically you get all your impurities and you burn them, and that's how I felt when I was doing the fourth step. And I was like, oh shit, man, this is fucking painful, you know and feeling those pains and stuff. And and understanding that shit, fourth step, the third step is, letting go and letting God, like. And then the second step is finding a higher power that can restore you to sanity. So I'm like, okay, it's not going to be hard because I have God and he's going to walk me through all this shit, and then from there I just fucking rolled on and started doing the rest of the steps and talking to somebody about it and all that. It it really it really helped me out a lot to understand a lot of mirror work,
Yes.
you know a lot of mirror work, a lot of talking to little Gerry, a lot of talking to that little guy that's hurt, within me. And and telling him that it's going to be all right, through all the stuff that I've been through, and it's all right. It's not that bad, you know.
Yeah. I know for me when I go through the fourth with the newcomer, it, it everyone's scared of it, and I was telling them, like, dude, you did it. You already done it. But you've already done it. There's nothing new under the sun. The only difference is now you're looking at it.
Hmm.
Now,
And
now you're admitting on paper what
it's
you did.
hard. It's hard to look at it.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at it.
I remember it was hard to. I thought it was like, boy, this is like embarrassing to write it, right? But then
Yeah,
when I had to do the fifth and talk to someone face to face,
I couldn't wait to do that.
oh, that was humiliating for me. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And he's
I,
like, no, you got to keep going because the humiliation, like, I can't believe I drank over because my mom didn't say that I loved you. You know what I mean?
and yeah, and then in uh in alchemy, it's disillusion, the second step, which is basically it's the water stage where you throw those ashes into the water. And when it happens, when ash is thrown into water, it kind of like separates it,
Mm-hmm.
it separates it's to purify, and that's what I saw that, you know that the fifth step was doing to me, was like, all right, man, this is the separation. I'm separating myself from it and letting someone know about it,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know
I going through the process was painful, but I shared about it today. But when I was going home,
yeah.
oh my god, what a like that
Didn't
was
you
like
feel
my
like
first sense of freedom.
Didn't you feel like you could fly?
Oh, it was a light. It was. I'm telling you, I was in line. It was like I was driving home. I remember from Whittier and Gutierrez, I think,
Yes, I
and
get you.
yeah, Santa Gutierrez. I'm driving home on Whittier Boulevard, and the sun was setting. It was setting, perfect, right?
Yeah,
And it's setting, and I'm driving just
you gave me chills.
a free man. I've
Yeah,
never felt that before. A free man. I just remember like,
you're
wow.
light as a feather. You're
Ah!
like, fuck, man. Like I could like tiptoe my way home. You know, it's like,
And that stuff I can tell you, but the only reason you can relate because you've gone through it.
right,
So
right.
if I tell a new guy
Oh,
the story,
they're
they
gonna be
might not
like,
believe
oh,
it.
that's hokey, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But until
But
you've gone
no,
through it,
yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm talking about.
So yeah, man. Like,
You've experienced it, so you know that I'm not
oh,
lying.
dude. Like I gave my sponsor a hug, and he's like, oh, bro. Like he's all, that's good. I'm like, oh man, you don't know how much I feel. And then saying the like fifth step prayer and all that good stuff. It's like, all right, man. Like these are tools that I can use. And then, what is it? Is it the what's the sixth step? Like
Oh,
removing
like we,
defects of character, or
yeah, you got to look at my memory is very shot.
let me look it up real
What
quick.
is it? It's on the 12 and 12. It tells you exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. The thing is that like uh, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. You know that step was, something too. Like it's like, all right, man, God, like absolve me from all these things, all these fears, all these insecurities, all this shit, dude. Everything stems from fear,
Oh, big time.
And
And I've always known that, uh, but I was just always afraid to admit. Of course, I'm not gonna admit I'm scared. I would always say like, "Oh, I'm go up to that." Everything's always girls, huh?
yeah,
I'll go up to that girl. You know, she's looking at me. No, I'm shy. I wasn't fucking shy. I was scared as hell. I was
I
scared of
still am
rejection.
scared.
I was scared of rejection.
Oh
I was
yeah,
scared of hearing no.
I'm still,
I'm here.
yeah.
I'm scared of hearing the ew.
And that's the
Ew, I don't
yeah.
want to talk to you. Like,
Eh,
damn. But one of the things too
And
is
then
like,
you throw one of these, nah, you're ill. Like just to kind of like
well,
level
yeah,
the
you can't
playing
be
field. It's
embarrassed
like,
about
dude,
it.
no, you're ill. I
But
don't even know what I was thinking.
yeah, my bad. I'm drunk. You know. But one of the things that is so true, it's on the 12 and 12 also. Brother Man Charles always talks about it. Is that it's a group of principles, practice. If practice, you know,
Yeah,
it's so pretty much. The funny thing is, if you look back, we were already working all the 12 steps before we were even in a step.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
We were already touching these principles, these steps before we even knew anything about it.
And that's the crazy thing too about those principles. Like the first step is honesty. The second step is hope. The third step is faith. The fourth step is courage. Fifth and all, and the list goes on and on. And in my false sense of reality, my facade, I thought I was honest. I thought I was, faithful. I
Courageous.
thought I was correct,
I had a lot of
And
hope.
no, I didn't know like the base of what those things meant, but I thought I had them.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, oh, I'm faithful.
And nobody was going to
I'm
tell you
loyal.
different.
And no, yeah. And that's the false sense of beliefs, false sense of my own destruction that I was like, damn, dude, like I didn't have shit. And now I'm like slowly gaining all those things. I could look you in the eye and talk to you, man. You know?
Yeah.
When before it was just like, yeah, yeah, man, like, blah, But now it's like, we're here, man. I could see people in the eye and be like, man, you got a good soul, you got a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I'm realizing as I go along. And whenever I go into meetings and stuff and I see that newcomer struggling, I'm like, what's up, man? How's it going? You know, or if I'm like too into like other things, somebody will be like, hey, Gerry, go talk to the newcomer. Hey, dude, go, and I'd be like, hey, what's up, man? Like, and then I'd go talk to them, and it's crazy. They'll tell you a little bit of their story or whatever got them. Because I ask them all the time, I'm like, hey, man, why you here?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll like Tell me a little bit, a snippet of whatever it is that they're going through.
And it's funny how it's always the same story we came in with.
And then it's just
It's
like,
never our fault. It's
yeah,
their fault. They don't understand.
yeah. And it's the crazy
All they had
thing.
to do is behave better, and I wouldn't behave the way I do.
Like when I was gonna go through my fifth step with my sponsor, I was like, "Oh fuck, dude," you know. But then I had heard in the rooms too before I went through my fifth step. It's like, "Oh, your fourth step, it ain't gonna fucking surprise anybody.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna do fucking dude. People have done worse, you know." And that's what I kept in my head when I went to go speak to my sponsor. I'm like, "Oh man, you know what? You know, I'm pretty sure you've done worse, or your sponsor, or your other sponsees have done worse." But that's one of those things that I'm like, you know what? Step four, courage. I had the courage enough to write this shit down. And then step five, integrity. Now it's time to fucking tell the truth to
Mm-hmm.
somebody. Tell the truth. Tell my story to somebody. And by looking at all the character defects, all the shit that I've done in my whole entire life, I'm like, you know what? The realization of this is that I don't want to be this person anymore. You know, I don't want to, you know, be manipulative and do all those crazy shits, be transactional with my friends, be
Yeah,
all those things.
that's one of the things that I love in the big book. It talks about if we want to recreate our life, it had to be based on a on a higher power, on a foundation of a higher power. It's in the
Yeah,
beginning, but when I remember reading that, recreate, it's like we can change. We can totally. We don't have to be that person that came in here.
right.
You know, like I don't. I never liked the way my life
And
was before I got here, and now it's telling me that I can change that.
right.
How do I do that? Well, you got to keep going.
And the crazy thing is that when I looked at that, I thought like, okay, recreate. I'm all. It's not really a like for me. It's not recreating. It's more like realizing, you know, realizing that that person is in me, that person that I want to become, or that person that it's already in me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that basis of God, it's in my heart. You know, like that just already has been in there. It's been in your heart for like ever.
The fundamental idea of God
Yeah.
is in us.
It,
It says that in the big book too,
yeah. And,
but it's what is it? It's pumped by worship and
yeah, materialized
yeah,
shit and all that stuff. Yeah, and the grandiose of things and all that. But for me, it's like, dude, God is already in there, and now I'm like I'm at peace. I'm
yeah,
at peace with it to a certain point, you know, because nothing's all like unicorns and rainbows,
yeah.
kind of like how they say in the rooms and stuff. But it is one of those things that is revealed to us, you know, and like they say, more will be revealed as time goes, or like it's a never ending change of growth, you know. Being 1 year old in the program, I'm barely learning how to walk, how to talk, how to carry myself, how to be, you know.
Yeah, so you know that you said to walk. I don't know. You saw that video that I made with the Foo Fighters "Walk." That song
Mm,
"Walk," and that's exactly the way I felt. That song came out in 2011,
uh-huh.
so I came in 2011,
Okay.
and I remember like learning how to walk, learning how to think, learning how to do these things all over again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a trip because I know that I don't want this life anymore.
Right.
I don't want it no more. It
Right.
did me no good.
Uh-huh.
I know I hear the old timers talking about you can laugh, welcome home. We're gonna love you even if you don't love yourself, and it sounded good, and I did want it, so I kept going that way.
Hmm.
So that's why I love that song "Walk" from Foo Fighters. It's
That's
just
good. Yeah.
it's a great ass song. But um, so now that you have 17 months,
Yeah.
and you've gone through the 12,
Yeah.
have you picked up a newcomer?
I man, the crazy thing is that when you offer yourself out there, you get these newcomers that come in and say like, yeah, you know what, yeah, like, will you sponsor me? And then you say yes, you know, and then you tell them, hey, all right, man, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna text you like a morning reflection, text me back, tell me what you think about it. I'm like, at the end of the night, just you give them like little homework things,
Yeah.
just to kind of keep them, or tell,
Work.
yeah, because it's all about work, man. If you work it, it works. And so you give them all these little things to do, and they don't do them, and then you call them, and they're either out, or they're
Oh, they
not,
don't answer.
or they don't answer, or they're not ready, and that's okay. But when they are going to be ready, they'll come back, or they'll look for somebody else that can actually walk them through it.
Yeah. Well, it's like
And
they say. It's all you got to do is be willing.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Same thing with Bill. Imagine Bill would have stopped
yeah.
because he was going through several people he was trying to help, and none of them were staying sober. And Lois told him, "Well, you are."
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reason I ask is the beauty of for me that I found when sponsoring other people is that I see myself. It's a mirror in front of me,
Yeah.
literally a mirror in front of me. That every excuse that I used in my whole life, they're using the same excuse,
Same shit. Yeah.
same thing.
Like,
It's just a different environment. It's just a different age group. It's just a different city, but it's the same thing. You know what I
right.
mean? We're not hurting
and
nobody.
and and that's the thing too, like, we're not supposed to pass judgment or anything on people, and I don't. I'm just like saying, I'm like, dude, those guys aren't ready. That's all I could
Well, see,
say.
you're already doing good because I'm a judgmental person
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too, like, don't
to
get me
to the
wrong.
bone, dude.
The thought
That's a
comes in,
bad character, man.
dude, the
Keep it
thought
right
comes
there.
in, that judgmental thought comes into my mind, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, man, accept. Then I turn to page 417, and then acceptance.
Yeah,
It's like, you can't be in control of people, places, and things, and and situations. You can only control yourself and how you handle certain things, how you react, and stuff like that. But yeah, man, that's it. But the first year has been a blessing. I've learned to live in gratitude at times, where the thinking and the mind takes a little over everything, and that's my worst enemy right now. After being sober for over a year, um, I'm still trying to get the hang of that thinking, and being like, processing that, what, and that's the powerlessness that we have. We're not only powerless over alcohol, we're powerless over people, places, things, and situations. And when those things arise, it's like, shit, man, I'm feeling powerless. Oh shit, I'm back at step one. I'm back at step one. Then step two, I'm like, oh, all right, dude, I need to like seek my higher power to turn this off a little bit. And then from there, I'm like, dude, if I can't control the situation, person, place, or thing, or whatever, I gotta give it up to God.
yeah. You said something right now, and it not right now, but what you said dawned on me a while early this year is like, people, how people say, "Hey, how's Monday treating you?" Or how how's Monday treating you? I'm like, well, how am I treating Monday? Is more likely, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
how is sobriety treating you? Well, it's not so much with sobriety. How am I treating it? Because everything to me is
I like that.
how am I treating today?
Right.
Because it's gonna come. It's here. It's like canvas. How am I painting this one?
There you go.
You know what I mean?
And
It's
that's a good
gonna
way of
be.
putting it.
Am I gonna paint this ugly picture, or am I gonna just let it be and let God's hand just take over? Which
Right.
is for me, that's what I've learned big time in this 14 is that it's all God, all of it.
Uh
And
huh.
if I just stay away,
It is.
His plan is so much better.
Right.
I mean, I can make plans, but my problem is I also make the results, and that's when I get all jacked up.
Oh yeah.
When I
Oh yeah.
make a plan and well, if I do it this way, this is gonna happen.
Right.
Wrong.
Right. That expectation
Yeah,
is like
instant resentment there.
shot. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah. And that's the one thing. It's like, man, you just gotta. And I like that you said that. Like, it's like, what are you gonna make of the day? What are you gonna make of your sobriety? And that's one of those things I'll probably even use with my, what's it called, with the sponsees and stuff. It's like, what are you gonna do for yourself today?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do that's gonna help out others? What are you gonna do that's gonna get you out of yourself?
Yeah, because
You
that's
know?
how I see it. I cut hair. And how's the day treating me? How's today treating you? Whatever day it is,
Yeah,
and I go, it's not that. I'm treating it pretty good.
yeah,
I'm accepting. You know, it's like actually going really good because I haven't stuck my nose where it doesn't belong. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
I haven't taken the wheel.
yeah,
Like
just let
yeah.
it be. And but so far, how you like? How is sobriety treating you?
How sobriety treating me? I mean,
How are you doing with sobriety today?
I'm taking it one day at a time. You know, every single day is a challenging day. I know that if I go to sleep sober, I'm going to wake up an alcoholic, and that's the reality of it. And now it's a little different now. I pray in the morning. I meditate at night. I put on a guided meditations that allow me to just be at peace. Um, and working the steps, working with others, going to meetings, it helps a lot. You know, uh, they say if you're connected, you're protected. You know,
Oh,
and that's one of the things that I've also picked up and being connected with you, being connected with other brothers and sisters of the program. We do movie nights, we do safe things, you know, and
and it's fun.
and it's fun because
We
like
laugh.
we laugh, we crack jokes, we rag on each other, we bag on each other, but we're good with that. We're okay. We're not like at war with ourselves. We're not at war with other people. Um, and yeah, man, that connection is what's gonna keep me sober. Keep me protected from anything else. Um, but yeah, man, I really enjoy being a part of the fellowship. I really enjoy hanging out with new friends. Who'd have thought that I would have new friends? I thought
Yeah,
like I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna give up. The friends that I was fighting for with my wife, are
gone.
few and far between. They're just like, you know, here and there. We're in a fantasy league and stuff, but I don't seek them. I don't step unless it's like either a wedding or like a big party or something or a birthday party. But I know my limits. When it starts getting shaky in there, I bounce out. I know that my feet are guided by God, by my divine source, and they take me wherever I need to be.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I see it.
Uh,
It's this.
Just to even think that way for me
Yeah.
is a miracle.
Oh yeah.
Just to think the way what you said right now today, it's a huge miracle because I'm like I used to say this a lot. I'm a natural born hater. I just did.
And that's easy.
It's easy and it's just so natural. It's just so natural, so
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
But to have an open mind that there is a better way
Right.
and to be willing to follow that, and to be honest whenever I feel a certain way with people,
Yeah.
that's a miracle. And that's a miracle.
Yeah.
All I wanted was 30 days of not drinking. What turns out is that it, it was more than just drinking.
Yeah.
It was all up here in the, you know, in la
The
cabeza. You know
thoughts.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
My dad would always say, "Ay, cómo te gusta sufrir," and I went, "What?" And then he
yeah.
told me that Stone Cold Silver, "Cómo te gusta sufrir?" I went, "Oh my god, that's funny."
Yeah. And the thing with how you said like that is a miracle in itself. One of the things that I did in rehab, the last 2 weeks that I was in rehab, um because they had church service like every Sunday and I didn't go, that whole God complex. And then I went to church the last 2 Sundays of my treatment. And one of the messages that stuck with me, that the pastor said, was, let faith be the movement towards your miracle. And that has stuck with me, and I share that a lot in the rooms and stuff. And it's like, man, like one of those miracles is going to be me. I'm going to be able to do that, for somebody else. I'm going to be able to be become a miracle. But dude,
But you already are.
yeah, and that's that. And see, that's the you're enough,
Uh-huh.
statement. Am I enough? Am I, But I don't see it because that's just me.
Yeah.
My insecurity of being enough and being that miracle. I feel like that hasn't been promised yet, But then again, I'm like, you know what? Fuck, dude. 1 year and almost a year and a half, and it's like, okay, you know what? I am a miracle. Accepting that I am a miracle, that I am accepted. Like Charles says, you're accepted. You know, and that, man, dude, I love those book studies, man. I'm like, shit,
Work,
dude.
workshops.
Yeah, those workshops.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You say book study, he'll tell
yeah,
you.
yeah. And then, dude, the thing with, like, with the alcoholics, the book, chapter 5. I love reading that chapter 5. You know, that's my favorite. Like, whenever I go up and read it, I love to read it. And the part where it says, there to make clear 3 pertinent ideas, that we were alcoholics and could not manage our lives, and then there's that I can't, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. He can, and that God could and would if he were sought. I will let him. And that's been the basis of, like, my journey. You know, I cannot do this alone. You know, the person that can get me to that understanding and realization is he can, and I'm gonna let him. You know, and that's the way that I've been, like, flowing with this, man. It's a spiritual program, man. It's something that is greater than me. It's greater than us. And that's something that we have to realize.
Well, uh, yeah, that's it. And my idea is like, what a better way to end it than what you just said.
Yeah,
I mean, there it is, right there, right?
that's it. Peace, peace,
That was
inner peace.
awesome. But well, thanks, Gerry, man. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I stayed away from it, and I went back, and just like everything else, like I need to get in the rhythm of. I love talking sobriety with people. I
Yeah,
love talking where they come from, how they get here, what made them, what broke, what was their bankruptcy, spiritual bankruptcy,
yeah.
and where you're at today,
How
and
many trap doors they've gone through?
yeah,
It's like,
over and over
oh
again,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and and I'm thankful that you had some time and we were able to sit down. Look how beautiful this park is. You can feel the wind,
yeah. The
the
breeze,
ice cream man.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
hear
Like we're
it.
literally living in the now. We're in the moment right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
And what a better way to do a Sunday than to be here. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I want to thank you, Gerry,
Thank you so much,
and you
Johnny,
and
for
you
having me.
and you keep pushing it, brother.
Yeah,
It's a long journey. Like you said, there is no destination.
yeah,
You're gonna make some setbacks. You're gonna cry. You're gonna be pissed off, but at the end, it's the most beautiful feeling at the end, man.
yeah. It's God's plan.
Oh, it's so good. It's just there was this one guy that used to always say, "It's not fair." Unfortunately, he went out, but
Lucky.
yeah,
Yeah,
and he would always say, "This is not fair." Now I'm thinking like, it's amazing, bro. It's amazing how good it is if you let it be. If you
right.
get out of the way and let God be, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, but thank you for sharing your experience right at home, man.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Gerry. You have a good day. I'll see you tonight.
Yeah, we'll be at the workshop.
Workshop, brother man. All
All
right, brother. You
right.
have yourself a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.